Okay, stop whatever you're doing right now. I want you to imagine something. You wake up tomorrow morning, you check your phone, and the headline reads 1,000 ships stuck, floating in the open ocean, going absolutely nowhere, carrying enough oil to power entire countries for months, just sitting there, trapped, waiting. And the reason? One country, one strait, 21 miles wide. That is not a movie plot. That is not a simulation. That is happening right now in real life. And by the time this video ends, you will understand exactly why this single choke point, smaller than most cities, has the power to send your grocery bill through the roof, collapse stock markets on 4 continents, and drag the entire world into an economic catastrophe that makes 2008 look like a minor inconvenience. Let us talk about the Strait of Hormuz. Most people look at a map and they see a tiny gap between Iran and Oman. They think, okay, narrow waterway, so what? Here is what they do not understand. Through that 21-mile gap, every single day flows 20% of the entire world's oil supply. Not 20% of one country's oil, 20% of all the oil the entire planet uses, every single day. Think about it this way. Imagine there is one single pipe, and through that pipe flows the blood of the global economy. Every car, every plane, every factory, every hospital generator, every container ship crossing every ocean, they all run on what comes through that one pipe. Now imagine one country has their hand on the valve. That country is Iran. And right now, Iran has turned the valve. 1,000 ships are stuck. Oil tankers the size of small towns, carrying hundreds of millions of dollars worth of crude, are floating in the Arabian Sea with nowhere to go. Their captains are calling their companies. Their companies are calling governments. And governments are doing exactly what they always do when they are truly scared. They are scheduling meetings. But here is what nobody is saying out loud. This was not an accident. Iran did not stumble into this. Iran did not panic. Iran calculated this move years in advance, because Iran understands something that most people on Earth have completely missed. The Strait of Hormuz is not just a shipping lane. The Strait of Hormuz is a loaded gun pointed directly at the throat of the global economy, and Iran is the only country in the world that gets to pull the trigger. Here is why. Look at the geography. Iran sits on the entire northern coastline of the strait. The mountains of Iran physically hang over the water. And those mountains are not just scenery, they are military positions. Iran has missile systems buried inside those mountains, radar installations, drone launch platforms, fast attack speedboat fleets. Iran can destroy any ship in the strait within minutes, from protected positions that no aircraft carrier can approach and no airstrike can easily eliminate. The United States Navy is the most powerful naval force in human history. But even the USS Nimitz cannot fight a mountain range. Now let us talk about what this actually means for the world, because this is where the story stops being interesting and starts being terrifying. 30% of the world's liquefied natural gas passes through Hormuz. Japan gets 83% of its oil from the Gulf. South Korea, 78%. India, 44%. China, the second largest economy on Earth, imports over 40% of its oil through this same choke point. Even Europe, which spent 2 decades desperately trying to reduce Gulf dependency, still needs this oil to keep its factories running. So when 1,000 ships stop moving, that signal hits every market simultaneously. Oil prices go up immediately. And when oil prices go up, everything goes up. Fuel, food, flights, factories. Shipping costs double, then triple. The products on your store shelf cost more because the truck delivering them paid more for diesel. The food on your table costs more because the farm that grew it runs entirely on fuel. Inflation does not just increase, it detonates. And here is the detail that changes everything. This is precisely what Iran wants. Iran does not need to defeat America militarily. Iran does not need aircraft carriers or stealth bombers or nuclear weapons. Iran has the Strait of Hormuz. And Iran has understood something brilliant and devastating at the same time. The modern global economy is not built on military strength. It is built on confidence, on the quiet daily assumption that oil will flow tomorrow exactly the same way it flowed today. Break that assumption, and you do not need missiles. You need patience. The moment investors believe that Gulf oil is no longer guaranteed, money starts moving. Away from energy markets, away from Gulf state investments. And here is the critical domino. Gulf nations like Saudi Arabia and the UAE pump hundreds of billions of dollars into the American stock market every single year. If their economies begin shaking, that money starts leaving Wall Street. And when that capital walks out, the biggest financial engine in human history starts breaking down. Now, can America stop this? In theory, yes. The US could attempt to force the strait open by military power. But every credible military analyst who has studied this scenario says the same thing. Clearing the Strait of Hormuz against active Iranian resistance is not a 3-day operation. It is a 6-month war at minimum, with massive casualties, with oil prices spiking even higher during the conflict itself, with no guarantee of success, and with absolutely zero public appetite for another generation-defining Middle Eastern war. Iran calculated all of this, every single variable. This is not a temper tantrum from a desperate country. This is a chess grandmaster making a move in a game that has been running for decades. Iran is not trying to win a battle. Iran is trying to make the cost of confrontation so astronomically painful, so economically catastrophic, so politically impossible, that America and its allies eventually decide the prize simply is not worth the price. One country, one strait, 21 miles wide. The entire world is holding its breath. 1,000 ships are floating. Markets are calculating. Leaders are meeting in rooms with no cameras. The question is no longer whether the world economy will feel this. It already does. The real question is, who blinks first? And history has a habit of surprising everyone.